Welcome to REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is business phone. When you start marketing, I strongly suggest you get a designated business line. As wholesalers, lenders, and especially potential sellers start calling, you want to be able to answer the phone professionally. Instead of the regular, hello, or this is Jen, you can answer, Jillific Homes, how can I help you? Many people use Google Voice, but I have been using Ooma Office for years. That's OOMA. We have a few different businesses and needed multiple lines, so this worked best for us. There are several options. Just find the one that fits your needs. I have heard of people getting a completely separate cell phone, and that's simply not necessary. Most of these business lines can be forwarded to your cell phone. When a call is forwarded, you will either hear a separate ring, or in my case, I am prompted to push 1 to answer the business line. I also want to add that vanity numbers and 1-800 numbers are a thing of the past. With technology these days, many times people can just click the phone icon on your website to reach you. Don't spend hours scrolling through numbers that spell something. I do suggest using the same area code where you want to do business. I have found that sellers prefer to work with local businesses. So, as your business starts growing, get that separate business number and get ready for it to start ringing. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us REIN member and total badass Noah Harris. Noah is a real estate investor and educator from South Carolina. Noah is the founder of REUP Real Estate Conference and is an inspiring real estate investing instructor. He's a graduate from one of the greatest colleges in the country, the University of Central Florida, go Knights, and has worked with some of the biggest names in investment education. On this episode, Noah is going to teach us how to bypass the banks, just say thanks but no thanks to hard money, and stop using our own cash for real estate deals. I just heard him speak on this topic at our most recent REIN event, and I can't wait to finish our conversation here. I'm thrilled to have him back on the show, so welcome, Noah.
Whoop, whoop.
Woohoo!
Is that do I go high pitched or low? The bear is okay, there we go. Love it. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, Noah, I'm so happy to have you back. The first time you were on, you talked about a past project, which was fantastic. I love hearing about past projects, but today we are going full force with private money. And this is such an important topic right now. And like I said, I just heard you speak at a recent REIN event. We do Reignite every, couple months and have all the REIN members together, and you presented on this and we were chomping at the bit. You gave me so many good nuggets, and I'm just thrilled to have you back on here so I can hear even more. So before we get into that, tell us how you got involved with real estate.
Yeah, private money is huge right now, and really private money, understanding how to talk to people and how it all works really made real estate fun for me. Again, I got into this using, like a lot of people do, hard money lenders, trying to work with a traditional bank, and it just got super frustrated. So I'm excited to share that information with you guys today with my fellow REIN members. How'd I get into real estate? Man, I was always fascinated by the amount of wealth that came along with real estate. My mom growing up, my mom's an artist. Jen, I don't know if you knew that or not. She
I
paints
did know
like
that.
murals.
You put her stuff up in your Airbnbs. It's amazing.
Yeah. So before, that's like where her passion is. But when, I was younger, she had a business doing murals and faux finishes. And lots of times the people who had the funds and the money to, have the
Professional artist
like paint a winery on their wall in their bathroom or whatever, like something crazy idea that someone had. The houses were amazing, right? So as a young, probably teenager, I'd go with my mom. I'd help her get the scaffolding set up and things like that. And I was always the kid that was very, I had a ton of questions. I was always fascinated by money and what people did for a living. I still am. And so I would go and find the owners once my mom started doing her work on the walls and stuff. And I'd interview them, and I'd always ask them, hey, how did you accumulate such a nice estate? And lots of times it came down to real estate, whether that's what they did for a living or not. The advice that these multi-millionaires would bestow on me was, hey, whatever you do, just make sure you buy real estate too. And that always stuck with me.
Wow. At such a young age too.
Yeah, it was, and I had, I've been reading Rich Dad Poor Dad since I was 16, 17. My aunt gave me a book. I'll never forget. It was Zero Down in the 2000s, by Robert Allen. And, as a kid, I was just reading this stuff, and then I went to University of Central Florida, got into finance because if I took finance classes, I could also take real estate classes. So when I graduated UCF, I could go on to be a realtor, a mortgage broker, appraiser, whatever I wanted to do. But none of that really intrigued me because I was reading all these books talking about don't get a job, have your money work for you. And so instead of getting into a career in real estate, I chose the investor route.
Nice. And have never looked back, huh?
That's right.
Excellent. So I have you on here today because money is getting so expensive to borrow. And I am one of those people who my first thought is to go with a hard money lender and then use a private money lender in second position. So just to break it down for the listeners, if you are purchasing a property to renovate, and just rough numbers, if it's $100,000 for the house and then $50,000 for the renovation, a hard money lender will typically lend you 75 to maybe 80% now these days. By the way, it was up to 90 during COVID. So it's dropped down to 75 to 80, maybe 85%. And then you have to come up with the remaining just for the closing. So they're going to give you, say, 75,000 for the closing. You need to come up with the remaining 25,000, which I typically use a private money lender, which we're going to talk about today, in that second position. And then the hard money lender holds on to the money in escrow for the repair funds. So as you start doing repairs, then you can say this is complete and you get that money. So quick little summation on how that works. But that borrowing the 75, 80% has gotten so expensive. It used to be like 4%, 5%. And now we're getting to 10, even higher, and you have to pay points out the wazoo. So Noah, my biggest question, and I have a lot of connections. I have built my my business in the area, and people know that my credibility. But why do people not use private money more often?
Jen, everything that great job, by the way, explaining hard money lending in like less than 2 minutes. But while you were doing that, you gave me so much anxiety. And because that's exactly how it is. And if you're someone that's like, hey, I'm trying to get my first deal, but then I got to come up with the down payment money. I got to have cash reserves. I got to, I thought I had enough money in the bank, but after all these fees, there's not much left, like, it's just like, oh my gosh, like how can someone who's newer or even experienced not just get involved and do one deal, but how can they do 2, 3, 4 projects at the same time if that's one of their goals to scale and grow, which I know a lot of people are right now. So and I think that's where private money comes into play. And what's interesting is you just said, hey, hard money is costing more. How do you deal with this? And what's interesting is I don't really care what hard money lenders are doing. because what I care about is what's the options available for people out there right now to put their money somewhere and have it work for them.
Right.
When it comes to the stock market, how is the stock market, looking? What if you were someone and you're about to retire, let's say in 2 or 3 years, and you've got money in a 401k or an IRA, and you're looking at the economic environment, you're probably like, oh my gosh, like, am I gonna have to work another 5 or 10 years? Like, because you probably just took a 20-30% hit. And what a lot of people don't realize is, let's just say a person has $100,000 in retirement, which isn't a lot, but just for example purposes, and that value drops 20%. Now they have 80,000. Well, to get back to the original 100, that means next year they're gonna have to make 25% return, and that's just not gonna happen, right? So, and it's not so much the money, but it's also the time that it takes that people lose trying to hit their retirement goals. So that, enter private money at this point, right? So private money lending is essentially going to an individual, family member, friend, fellow REIN member, fellow real estate investor, coworker. Maybe it's someone on your kid's sporting team if you become friends with that wants to figure out how to get involved with what you do. It's a person, not an institution. And the more people learn about private money lending, the more excited they'll get about it. And for us as real estate investors, where I think a lot of people struggle with making that jump from traditional banks or hard money to private money lending, regardless of experience level, it comes down to one of two things. Number one is they feel like because they've never asked a person for $500,000 or for 400, 250,000, whatever it is, there's this hesitation in their mind, like, am I credible enough? Like, it's a confidence thing in themselves to be able to ask that. And the second reason that I see most people struggle with this is everyone knows that private money lending is a great option for a lender. Where else can someone put money to work, have it secured by an asset that's worth way more than the amount of money that they have involved, and make a great rate of return on their money? Oh, and the asset's insured. Like, these types of things simply don't exist. But where people struggle with making that leap and making that jump is the communication side of it. How do we effectively communicate those benefits to someone in a way where it makes sense? Right. So it comes down to confidence and the ability to properly, consciously communicate what the opportunity is.
Well, let's start on the communication side, because I mean, you said it's backed by real estate, it's insured. So, I mean, and nothing is guaranteed these days, but does everybody use private money the same way? Because I've heard people where they're like pooling money and stuff like that. So where does it get dangerous here? Where do we want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves and our lenders?
Yeah, number one, and you hit the nail on the head. Like, number one, if you want to be great at using private money lending and having potential lenders lined up around the corner to work with you, the best advice I can give someone is become a great borrower. If you can build a reputation and a track record as someone who puts their lender first above all else, put your lender on a pedestal, people are going to appreciate working with you. They're going to refer you to other people, and it's going to make this a whole lot more fun. How do you do that? Well, we're very selective with our deals. We're very particular with properties that we take on. We listen to what our lenders' goals are with their money and try to structure loans to meet those goals. So it's not about us, it's about them. And we have to make sure that we're using the right documents and forms to make sure that their money is set up just like a bank would want. Right? Just like a bank. Those are 4 little words that you're going to want to live and die by when it comes to borrowing people's funds. And it makes them feel confident. Hey, how can we build confidence in ourselves? Because we do things the right way. How can we build confidence in our lenders? Because we do things the right way. Every single time that we borrow money, we provide a mortgage. We provide a promissory note. We have them listed on the insurance as the lost payee, just like a bank would want. And we personally guarantee our loans just like a bank would want too, even if we're buying in our LLC, which is also what a hard money lender would want to see as well, right?
That's the point I was getting at, because I have heard a lot of investors, well, not a lot, but like I'm thinking of one specifically recently who actually went to jail because they were not using the money properly. So to protect everyone, you put them on the actual mortgage. So when you look up the property, they are listed as the lender in either first or second position, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's on the mortgage, the deed of the house, and then
It's on the mortgage. Yep.
and then you add them to your insurance. And so the insurance, when you're flipping a house, is a little there's more to it than just regular homeowners insurance, because you have the vacant dwelling, you have, I forget all the other ones.
Builder's risk and
workman's comp, stuff like that.
So by the way, this can be done on rental properties too, and short-term rentals, and money's money, loan's a loan. So you'll just get with your insurance professional and say, hey, this is our strategy with this house. It's vacant right now. We're going to be renovating it. We're going to resell it. It's turnkey. We're ready to put a tenant in it. Like, you're going to have different insurance policies throughout maybe even different stages of your project, depending on after you rehab it and now you're renting it. So you'll get with them. But the most important thing here is the lender is listed on the insurance just like a bank would want.
Good.
Right?
Excellent.
Yeah, 100%. So that's all we're doing. So what's cool is you can tell people, everywhere that I look, I see an opportunity for people to become private money lenders, right? It's like a gift and a curse. Anyone that I meet, whether it's at a grocery store, a networking event, a family member, Thanksgiving dinner, whatever, and I'm having conversations with people, I know in my heart that this is a great option for people, and it can really make a difference in someone's financial future. So when I look at someone, I always kind of do this calculation. Okay, they always ask me, hey, what do you do for a living? And I always say, hey, well, have you ever seen the TV shows where people flip houses? Yeah. I go, well, what's really cool is I do that. But what's even cooler is there's a person on that show that you never hear about, and it's the person who actually funds the deal. And that's where the real money's at. And then they're like, well, tell me more about that. Well, how would you like it if you were the bank? Right. And so there's different ways where we can effectively communicate and introduce this topic to people that want to learn more about it.
So communication skills, you have to educate your lender on exactly how their money is going to be working for them. And also tapping into that communication. One of the biggest nuggets I got from your presentation the other night for the REIN event was you keep up communication throughout the project, meaning that, and you do, are you going to share this nugget, or is this something that you're going to save for listeners, or can you share it with us?
No. Like I'm an open book. So whatever you want to learn, let's do it.
So you create a Facebook page per property. So
I do.
Yes. And my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so great, because we borrow money all the time from people. It's fantastic. And they keep coming back to us. And so there are times I can't spend their money quick enough, but when we have someone on a project and you have multiple projects going on, this idea to me was so amazing. So explain what you do. You invite them to the Facebook page, and what do you use the Facebook page for?
Yeah. So real quick, going back to what you're saying. So communication is so important. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. When I say communication, I don't just mean what comes out of your mouth, like sitting down at the coffee shop trying to introduce private money lending. This could be a text message. It could be an email. It could be through an online platform like Facebook. So there's a lot of different ways to communicate. Most people have no idea that private money lending exists. So lots of times when we're having these conversations, they're thinking, what's the deal with this? Like, how come my financial advisor hasn't told me about private money lending? It's because they don't get paid off of it, right? They get paid by doing what they've been doing for that person. So lots of times we have to communicate. And what's great about this is when someone sees the value in this, putting their money to work at a double-digit rate of return, secured by an asset that's insured with all the proper documents, just like a bank would want, they're going to want to do it again, but they're probably going to stay really, committed and loyal to you because you're the one that introduced it to them in the first place, which is really important to know. And most people will want to get into private money lending because real estate's exciting.
Yes.
It gets them, they're like, wow, this is a way for me to be involved in real estate, but not have to flip the house. Like, I don't know how to do any of that. I don't know how to find them. I don't know how to flip them. I don't know how the contracting side. That's what we do. So this is a great way for people to kind of tap into that excitement and that passion. So they want to know what's going on with the house, right? So one of the things that we do is immediately when we close on a property, we'll create a private Facebook group. And in that private Facebook group, it will just be myself, my wife, and our lender. Maybe our real estate agent, if we want to keep them in the loop with the progress, but that's it. And then so anytime a contractor sends us a picture of progress, or we're at the property, we'll do a short video, or we'll post that picture into the Facebook group with status updates and things like that. And what's really cool about Facebook is you scroll through the page, you can see who's seen your post.
Yep.
And they can like it. They can give it a little heart or a little ooh, ah emoji or whatever. And, maybe they're sitting at next to a friend or a partner or a family member, and they're like, hey, check this out. I'm investing in this house. Oh my gosh. Well, like, tell me more about that. That's your house? Well, I'm the lender. I'm making 10% and da, 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 da. And it's a way for them to share that excitement too with other people, but we keep that private. And it's just an easy, simple way to have everyone informed and excited to do the next one.
I'm telling you, my hand was cramping. I was writing this down really fast because I take photos with my phone all the time. And this is just going to eliminate having to go home and type up an email and attach a photo and just uploading it to a private Facebook page. Noah, that was genius. Thank you so much for that. So that helps with the communication. And now I want to go back into the whole confidence and how do people become more confident when they become a private money lender? And I'll share a quick story. In the very beginning, when we were in real estate and we were using private money, every time Vance, my husband, he would say, thank you so much for helping us out. And I was like, hold up a second here. And really, we were helping them grow their money. So to me, that was like a switch. When I told that to Vance, he's like, oh, you are right. Which, he says all the time. So, but
he was grateful, but he wasn't very conscious with his communication, right?
Exactly.
Of what he was saying.
Exactly. So how do people build their confidence in raising private money?
Well, I think one of the points that you just made was, here's Lance saying, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Da, 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 da. Like, I see people making the mistake on Facebook all the time where they're like, hey, I need money for this. And they're using words like I need, I want, I have to have. And those are all phrases and words that really kind of aren't very sexy to someone that is like, well, why do you need money? Like, are you broke? Or you like, this sounds like you're in financial disarray, like it's crazy, some of the stuff that people say. So remember, this isn't a I need type of scenario. This is, hey, I have an opportunity for someone that's looking to do this, this, and this. Hey, if you were me and you had an opportunity that could pay double-digit rate of return, have it secured by an asset, just like a bank would want, would it be a good idea to share that with other people? What do you think people are going to say? Absolutely. Yeah. Well, now you know where I'm coming from. So here's the opportunity, whatever. Right. So there's different ways where we can do this. I think confidence really comes. And if you're brand new, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just went to this workshop seminar, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. Who's going to lend me money? I don't have any credibility. You're right. You don't. But the number one thing that I'll tell people, and this is so important, for success in general, any business has a great team surrounding it. So the very first thing I would do is I would go out and I would find a real estate attorney that's going to draw up your documents, that has, this is the best of the best, right? Every year they're in the newspaper, voted by the public as the top person to go to, whatever, right? Everybody loves them, knows them. I'd go out and I'd get the real estate agent that's the top 1% for that neighborhood. Right. Too many times people are like, hey, I'm brand new to real estate, so I'm going to get my real estate license. And it's like, no, go get someone who's done this for a really long time and put them on your team.
Right.
I would go get a contractor that if someone were to search them, would they have good reviews? So you're surrounding your home inspectors. I mean, the list goes on and on. So then when I'm having these conversations one-on-one with a lender, I'd say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Lender, because they're going to ask, how many deals have you done?
Right.
And if it's your first one, what are you going to say? So what we do, we're going to get this stuff set up prior to. And so when that question comes up, as it should, We're going to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Lender, I'm brand new to real estate. However, my real estate attorney is voted by his peers as best of the best. My realtor, she's the top 1% in this neighborhood right here that when it comes to sales. My contractor, it's a family-owned business. They've been in business for decades, right? So while I might be brand new, there's nearly 100 years of real estate investing experience surrounding me. And what's going to happen is that person, that lender, is going to say, hey, you know what? I might not be 100% sold yet, but I'm still listening. And I like what you're putting down, right? So I would do that like first things first. And I think we can ride the coattails of other people's credibility. Once we kind of get through that, I think the rest of it comes down to just understanding how it works.
Right.
So that when you say something, you're 100% confident that what you're saying is accurate. It's how it works. You know the questions they're going to ask before they ask them. And all that comes down to is educating, right? And practicing.
And can I also add that private money is so much easier than hard money when it comes to doing projects. So for example, when you have a hard money lender in that first position, and I'll go back to my original example of they gave me $75,000 for the closing. The purchase price was $100,000 for the project. The rehab budget was $50K. That money stays with them in a bucket, and you have to front the money for the work, pay your contractors because your contractors want to be paid on time, and then it's more of a replenishment into your bank account. And you say, this is the work that has been done. We'd like to proceed with a draw. They send someone out to make sure it was done. Yes, it's approved. And it takes about a week for that money to get back and to get into your account. So with private money, many times I've only had one private money lender hold back 50%. And then once we completed 50% of the project, they released the remaining amount. But most private money lenders, you get all of that money at closing. You get the whole $150,000 for that first example. They're in that first position. At closing, your closing attorney or your title company is going to hand you a check for the overage, which is about $50,000, and that's going to go into your account. And that's when you can get the project done quicker because you can pay your contractors immediately and you have the funds there to go. So that's why I love private money. And, you know, just listening to you and all these great nuggets you have, I'm just going to go ahead and announce it. But you have, first of all, you've got to start charging more for your stuff because, and I joke with you all the time, but again, I only charge $99 for my REIN membership, a one-time fee. You have a webinar coming up. And it's only $49. I can't believe it. And it is so great for listeners. And listeners, you just heard him say, you know, just how you get past these hurdles. And he's just so great at what he does. And by the way, he has one of my private money lenders, and I'll probably never see her again. It was one of those times where I couldn't spend her money quick enough. And he's like, hey, I have a project coming up. And
that's a good problem to have.
Yes,
though,
that is
right?
a good problem. Please tell us about this webinar you have coming up. And I hope you're going to have more because you just have one that I know of. So tell us about that. Tell us all the things you're going to be going over.
Yeah. So I love educating, you know that about me.
And you're so good at it. You're just so chill and like, yeah, this is what I do. And yes.
Easy breezy.
Easy breezy.
I got into teaching this stuff. And you kind of mentioned it, like you knew someone that did people wrong and got themselves in trouble. And so I had some friends that were lending money and they weren't being paid back. And so they would come to me and they said, hey, can you help me? Like, what did I do wrong? And, you know, they fell in love with a great interest rate, but they didn't know to get, you know, these 3 documents, or they fell in love with the idea of making money with their money and they didn't check out the person that they were lending to, or actually call
the project.
The project. They didn't understand that. They didn't call the real estate attorney to confirm everything was like, so there's a system for borrowing, but there's absolutely a system for lending as well. And like checklists and things to do. So I kind of made it like my little mission to help educate, to make sure that people are doing this and creating win-win scenarios and solutions, helping people make money and helping deals get funded. And I really do believe in this as a plan for people that want to do real estate and people who want to put their money to work. And so I got kind of pissed that this stuff was going on. And I was like, you know what, like, let's educate more people and see if we can help people learn as much as they can about it. So we put together these workshops. We did one last month. It was awesome. And at 9:00, there was a certain amount of a lot of people enrolled. And at the end of the day, at 3:00, the same number of people were on that webinar, just dialed in, like fired up. And it was so cool to see. So we're going to do it again. I make it $49 because it's like, have some skin in the game. Cause I get called, hey, do you want to go to lunch? And can I get an hour of your time? And it's like, there's only like one lunch a day.
Yep.
And I can't do 17 lunches a day, so I was like, hey, you know what? Instead of buying me lunch, just take this class, do yourself a favor. I'll make it super affordable. I probably would get the shrimp and grits and a coffee, no cream or sugar. It's going to come out to $25. And then you're going to get whatever you're going to get. It's going to cost you $50. So that's how we came up with the $49 for the price of the course. It's going on December 28th. And we'll put the link and stuff. I'll give you the link and everything where you can register. But I also have an online class or online course that's in addition to like the live Zoom. So if someone's like, I want to learn this stuff right now, like I got a deal. It's hot and ready to be served up to somebody. Cool. Sign up for the class and you get the online course and you can start learning how to communicate the benefits of private money lending too.
Do you have like a sample credibility packet that you share with people?
I do. I have, I used to have this big, thick book, Jen, it had like, it cost $15 to print at FedEx, when it was all said and done. I've really just narrowed it down to a 1-page PDF. And really the importance of the credibility piece, I think, is the fact that you just have it. And what I was finding is lots of people weren't taking the time to just read through everything. It was like, and so I found that the interest hasn't changed from going from a 1-page PDF to the booklet. Or from the booklet to the PDF. I just like to keep it super simple. And so when I hand someone that, or I email it to them, so usually the people begin inquiring based off of conversations that we've had, or they've seen me on YouTube, or I don't know where the people get the idea. But then I have something that I can email to them and that they can read over, so that when we have our meeting at the coffee shop or at my office or whatever, I like to say, hey, did you get a chance to review it? And it's really, again, it's just a sales skill, a communication skill. If they've said yes, then I know they're serious. If they said no, then I know, okay, they're either not that serious or I'm just going to have to spend more time going through this with them. It's just a mental thing for me, not so much a trying to inform people. Like it's KISS, just keep it simple.
Gotcha. And I ask because that's how we found our first private money lender, was because I had a presentation on how to become a private money lender. And I was just asked if I could practice in front of a few people. And by the end, my very first one, I was nervous, I was shaking, and, just went through how to be a private money lender, et cetera. And by the end, he's like, Jen, how do I become a private money lender?
Yes,
I'm like, this is magical. So it is, right there, $49 is worth it just to have something. And condensed is huge, because you're right. I had one from our, we were both members of Fortune Builders, you and I, and they had a huge packet, and that's the one that I first presented on. And then now I work with Homeschooled by Tariq Al Musa, and it's a lot more condensed, but a 1-pager, ooh, I like that. So,
what's important with people with money, you got to remember this. You only have their time and attention so long. So it's important to say, hey, like, what's important to you? And find out what's important to them, and then put that in front of them.
Yes.
They don't care about all the other stuff. They don't care about your before and after pictures. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
if they do, if that is important to them, then that's what we put in front of them. Right. Otherwise, we're just going to get to the meat and potatoes of what they want.
And so you have this webinar coming up. You also have something starting next year, coming back next year, and that is the REUP conference, which, by the way, I cannot thank you enough for having this event. It was one of the first live events after COVID, and people were just itching to get out of their house and have that interaction with people. But again, you keep things so affordable and you have amazing speakers. Myself was there, and it was just whoop, whoop. It was just a great opportunity. But the people that you attract to these events are amazing. I have made so many new friends. I'm in North Carolina. You're in South Carolina. It wasn't too far of a drive. And so tell us, when is the next REUP event and how do people sign up for it?
Are you putting me on the spot right now?
Come on,
Nobody
tell
knows.
us. Oh,
Nobody
really?
knows. Do you want to make the announcement here live on Rain? I think we could.
Do
All
it.
right, so here's the deal with the REUP. REUP is high level, down to earth people. Many of I've seen what's after the last REUP event. I was like, oh my gosh, everyone that was at the event is on your podcast. Like you just like raked in all these awesome contacts and people. I was like, that's so good to see. But you're right. Right after COVID, it was one of the first events. And, you know, during COVID, we were like in a funk. It's like, I haven't talked to people. I haven't gone out. I haven't gone to any workshops. I need to like re-up my life, like my game, my business, my network, my social circles and all this stuff. So we named it the REUP and it just kind of stuck. And I'm really excited because we're going a little bit bigger, a little bit better. Just when you think it can't get any better, it does. And so if I were you, I'd write these dates down. I'd put it in your phone. It's going to be March 11th and 12th of 2023 here in Columbia. And we've got a really cool lineup so far. I'm ironing out a few more people, but what's cool about this, Jen, is I bring in people that I know our community can benefit from. I bring in people that selfishly I know I can benefit from. So like, I know one of my goals is to buy, for instance, like we want to buy a storage unit next year, at least one. And so I'm bringing in someone who specializes in teaching people about how to buy storage facilities, estate planning, becoming your own bank, commercial real estate. So it's a lot of different topics by a lot of people who are like, you might not necessarily know this person on social media, but they're so high level that they don't have a social media. So like, these are like really crazy individuals and business professionals. Teaching probate at the last event, we had a former probate judge from South Carolina.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we're super excited. We got some cool networking stuff planned. So yeah, there you go, live on Rain. Big announcement. REUP March 11th and 12th. Let's go. You
all check it out. What is the website for them to find it?
REUPmeetup.com.
REUP Meetup. So REUP meetup.com. Perfect. Yep. Well, Noah, you are awesome. And I mean, just so easy peasy, like you said, and everything you have, you know, years of experience with this. And I always learn something new from you every time we hang out. So I do appreciate it. Appreciate you very much. So the second part of the podcast is what makes Noah Harris a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Atomic Habits.
That is a good one.
So here's what I took from Atomic Habits. So I have time to share, or did I just do the book?
Yes.
Okay. So, and this is so important is in just everything we're talking about during this conversation. Like, if you don't believe that you are a private money machine, if you don't believe that you're a great borrower, then you're going to struggle with private money lending. One thing I took from Atomic Habits was really helping build a person's self-concept of who they are. So if I go to the gym and like after this, I'm going to the gym. If I head into the gym thinking to myself, okay, I'm a dad that's a little out of shape and I'm tired, but I know I need to get into the gym to get some energy to keep up with these kids, I'm probably not going to have the best workout, right? But if I go into the gym and I'm like, hey, this is what I do. I'm the type of person who takes care of their body. I'm a former college athlete, right? If I go in there with that mentality of someone who takes care of themselves and this is who I am, it's part of my DNA, I'm probably going to have a better workout. And so just developing the self-concept of who you are to create the habits that are going to help you get where you want to go. I love that book. It was one of my favorite books.
Yes, absolutely. Agree 1,000%. And it's been a hot minute since I've read that. I may have to dust that off and reread that one. So thank you for bringing that up. All right.
I think it's on Spotify actually now.
Perfect. Even better. All right. The first A in badass is A for advice. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
When I was in college, I had a mentor. It was kind of like a Mr. Miyagi to me. I used to go around and paint his baseboards. And every time I got all the way around his big ass mansion and finished, he'd say, okay, do it again. He'd pay me $10 an hour. I probably worked for him for 4 or 5 months. And he had 6 or 7 cars in his driveway, and super wealthy guy, big real estate guy. And I would drive him every once in a while to go get the oil change on some of these cars and drop him off at the dealership or whatever and drive him back. And he'd always tell me, don't you ever buy a car like this. He said, this is the biggest waste of money. I hate this car, da, 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 da. And all it does is cost you. He says, you buy things that make you money, not things that cost you money. And I'll never forget that. And I just recently bought a new car, and I'm 40 years old. So the first time I ever bought a new car, I was 40 years old.
What'd you get?
A Toyota.
Okay.
Right?
Good.
Yeah. You know, because I got that guy's advice in the back of my head, like, hey, don't you do it. Don't you do it. So, you know, we got something that gets 42 miles a gallon.
Excellent. Very good. And I like that. Use your money on things that are going to make you money, not take your money. So
yep, absolutely.
Say that again, because I said that totally wrong. What do you say?
Just, you know, was there a cool saying? I don't know. We have to rewind the tape.
I know.
Hey, if it doesn't go up in value or make you money, then don't buy it. Don't put your money there.
Perfect. All right.
Or write it off, right?
Oh, exactly. All right. The D in badass is drive. What drives you to be successful?
I think time. This is really important for me. I'm not like, people think because I'm in real estate or whatever, like do the REUP, that I'm like this super driven business person. Like I'm really not. I'm all about family and things like that. My grandfather had Parkinson's disease when he was, diagnosed mid-60s, and he was the smartest man I ever met in my life, smartest and strongest. He was an engineer at Cornell University. And just to see that disease and what it did to him and how he lost it really put me on this like clock of like, you know what? I really don't like, if something like that happened to me, I only have this many years to build my legacy, to build my rental portfolio, to make sure that my kids, my wife, everybody is set up. So anytime and that like Christy brings a property, I usually don't want to buy it. I'm like, what do we want another house for? But then I think about what could one more property do
right
for my kids or my kids' kids. And so we end up buying it. But I just think having that time clock on life and not knowing how long you're going to have is what keeps me going.
And you have a lovely family. I'm a big fan of your wife as well, Christy Duckett Harris. So I'm looking at her picture behind you on a poster that says hustlin', and that is so true with you all. So
yeah, amen. Yeah.
Yes, amen to that. All right. The second A in badass is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
Well, we just announced it. This is the big REUP conference coming up in March 11th and 12th. So I'm going to be putting a lot of my time, effort, energy into just making that an awesome time for everybody. And a big part of that happening is Rain, by the way, setting goals. And we could have just said, hey, that was fun. Those 2 events were awesome. You got it. I got the hoodie, got the sweatshirt to prove it. But we're going to come back and we're going to do it bigger, better. And it's going to be an awesome time.
Can I just add also with, talking about REUP, you do panels, like it's very panel heavy, shall we say. And they are my absolute favorite because you have a group of experts on the stage who, by the way, feed off of each other. And I was on one for Airbnb, or short-term rentals, excuse me.
Yep.
And I mean, we just kept going back and forth and back and forth. And the audience was like, just it kept going. And so you do a great job of having these awesome speakers to begin with, but then you get a group of people on stage to do these panels. And it's so good. I always learn so much from panels. So thank you for doing that.
They are awesome. We're looking at having at least 4.
Oh, So good. All right. The first S in badass is systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
I think links to your calendar are so huge where it's just like, people call me all the time and it's like, hey, can I ask you this? And it's like, I don't want to sell you short. Like, get on the calendar and let's go from there. I think having those types of systems in place on your social medias and things like that, having a link tree set up so people can get what they need without having to connect with you, frees you up for more time. And I found that to be really valuable.
And you are so gifted in many, many things. And I remember a couple years ago, I actually reached out to you and you helped me rewrite my script for my website for REIN, which you are a member now. And it was just one of those things where
it worked.
Because it worked. Exactly. And, paying for your time. And I love that you do that. And I also just want to add, you were talking about before, people saying, oh, can I just pick your brain for this? People, stop doing that. Noah's time, Jen Josie's time, all these people, their time is more valuable than a cup of coffee. So please keep that in mind. When you're clearing out a house, for example, if I have people saying, Jen, I'll help you put furniture together for your next Airbnb if I can pick your brain the whole time. Like, come on, bring it. So
I like that.
Yeah, really like redesign how you ask people, but do get close to some mentors locally in your area. All right. I'm sorry. 100%. I went off on a tangent there. All right. The final S in badass is success. What does success mean to Noah Harris?
Having options, whatever that looks like, having options. You look at people who are struggling in life. It's usually because they don't have choices. It's like, this is what I got to do. I got to put my nose to the grindstone and then figure it out until I do have options. Right. And so I think that's really the name of the game. What do you want to do today? Get into choose how you spend your time. Makes it all worth it.
Yeah. And I'm glad I got to choose to spend another hour with you this morning because again, every time I speak with you, hang out with you, I always learn something fantastic. And I just truly appreciate that. And one more time, how can people, first of all, sign up for the December 28th, event for your webinar?
Yeah, I would go to my wife's website, ChristyDuckett.com.
Okay. We'll have that in the show notes.
Yeah, ChristyDuckett.com. And all the different things that we offer are there. Christy does a boot camp online for mobile homes that's coming up in January too. I know a lot of people are registered for that already. So, and you can see we'll have links to the REUP and you can get your tickets there as well. So.
And you all do not want to miss either of those events. The first one is virtual. So that's, take my $49, please, because that is fantastic. But then for the REUP, it's in-person networking, which is, you just can't get any better than that. So thank you so much, Noah. I really appreciate you being here. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. Thanks, Jen. You're awesome.
You are awesome.
Amazing work, and congratulations on your hitting your goals with this. And we would love to have you at the REUP explain how this whole podcast came about and any tips you can give to people on being a great guest or hosting one. I think that would be an awesome topic that everybody would love to learn about.
Absolutely. My pleasure. And thank you, Noah. Go Knights. And thank you so much. So that is all. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of REIN by registering on REINmastermind.com.